Welcome to Grubb for Thought. This is our, used to be our monthly video cast, but now we do it almost weekly at Grubbable. And we have Cory Wright here with us, one of the founders of Mitten Crate. And today we're going to talk about a little bit about Mitten Crate and mostly about the emergence of local food artisans and how artisanal food and artisanal snack is heading up the local food scene and why it's a good space to be in. Sounds like a good conversation?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So hi, Cory. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Enjoying beautiful weather, which is really nice.
I know. We should be outside. We should do the next one outside.
Yeah. Should do grilling and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. All right, so let's get started. So for most people who are aware of Grubbable, they know we're all about local and sustainable, and which is why we're also like partnered with Mitten Crate, because you guys are all about local, as your name suggests. You're all about the Mitten state. So Cory, tell us a little bit about the passion behind Mitten Crate, how you came about doing it, and how's it been so far?
Well, I mean, so far so good. We launched about 3.5 years ago. The idea for Mitten Crate was there's this huge uptick in people producing, kind of like back to their roots, like mom and pop type companies, and also producing like artisan products. So like maybe you have like artisan products, like there's, really funky flavors of like candy coated nuts, or you just have people that are just doing like a all natural barbecue sauce. It's nothing super crazy or fancy, but they're using really good ingredients and they're making it here local in the state. My business partner, Andrew, also owns a candy company called Dave's Sweet Tooth. And so when launching his company, he found that kind of being, you're a small fish in a big pond, right? And so how can all of these vendors kind of get a foothold? Because it's the consumer wants local products. The consumer will spend money on local products, will spend more money on local products. But if they don't know what products are local or where to get them or how to get them or who's doing what, we're all creatures of habit, right? So if you don't know what's out there, you're just going to continue to do the same thing because it's like, it's not broke, don't fix it. So at the core, we started a subscription box service, and the idea behind it was like kind of like a wine club, but for Michigan-made foods. So like every month, you would get like a different allotment of Michigan-made goodies. Some stuff it's really small grab and go things, like maybe like a bag of chips or trail mix. Sometimes it's more like party type stuff where you maybe have like a jar of salsa, or like more food stuff like pasta or sauce or something along those lines. And then sometimes it's just like really fun stuff, like quirky stuff like drinking vinegars or like chocolate covered Michigan cherries, like just like cool little things like that.
Oh, that sounds yummy.
Yeah, so all of these vendors are all, it's not really big giant vendors that are already going to be in like all of these stores. It's like smaller vendors that are still selling at farmers markets, or that are only distributed in 4 stores, or only sell online or whatever. So just trying to get the little guys a foothold.
Yeah, so actually that was going to be my next question. So what is the difference between some of the local vendors who are really passionate? A lot of them are like 1-2 people run companies, and what's the difference between those guys and some of the larger food vendors out there?
I would say there's probably 2 huge differences. I would say one is the way that a small business is ran is grossly different than how a large corporation is ran. And I think it can be a positive and a negative, there's obviously benefit to like larger corporate structure, efficiency, scales, logistics, supply chain, all this stuff is always a lot easier the more you do. So I think that's the big thing, is that the businesses are ran completely different. But I think that also therein lies kind of the beauty of artisan products, where, you have people who are the people that are actually making your products are the people that you're talking to. So that's always really cool. And it's like people who, everybody has like a cool backstory, and, you get so involved. It's like they can paint this whole picture. It's not just like a salad dressing on the shelf, though. It's like made by a machine. And yeah, it tastes good, and maybe it's healthy or it's your favorite flavor or whatever, but like there's no soul there. And I think with a lot of the smaller entrepreneurs, it's like this is what they want to do, and like that's cool, and that's something cool to support.
I know the story behind is really important. A lot of people have quit their day jobs to do this because that's their ultimate passion. And I think when I spoke to Andrew, he mentioned about the story, of doing toffee in his grandfather's kitchen, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, his dad's kitchen, but yeah.
His dad's kitchen. Okay, yeah. So I think there's so much heart and soul to that. Do you see that really resonate with people? Like, does that connect with a lot of them, and that's why people come and buy?
Yeah, I mean, I think, most of us aren't huge successful business owners. So like when you talk to somebody who's just like you get up and you go to a job every day, and like your job just happens to be maybe making potato chips or making brownies or something different than like being a CPA. Yeah. So I feel like people really relate to kind of the backstory of people, and to hear something like, especially like Andrew. Yeah, like his dad's a firefighter. He made it in the fire engine. Everybody loved it, kind of taught Andrew how to make it, and Andrew wanted to sell it. So him and his dad are literally making the first probably 6 months of their batches like in their own family kitchen, and like selling them at craft shows and stuff. And now, Andrew has a huge facility. He's got, depending on the time of year, anywhere from 10 to 20 employees. He's been on a bunch of national media. I think he's in over 1,000 stores, like sells online. It's crazy. And that his company is still even so small to where like he's still involved in all the day-to-day operations. Like he's the guy that, like, if you call the number, like he's still picking up the phone, he's answering the emails, So even though like he's grown and that's what he does for a living, it's still a small business at heart. And the passion is still there. Like they just sell toffee, and it's like this, hand-me-down recipe from his father. Like the story doesn't get cooler than that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I remember he even said they sell to Canada and nationwide. So it's a very impressive story. So just so people know, Andrew is the other half of Mitten Crate.
Yep.
So have you seen like a rise in number of local food artisans since you've started operating? Like, do you see more and more people getting into this?
Yeah, I think one thing I'm noticing is I feel like it used to be fringe when we first started. It was a lot of kind of farmers market, very, very low key cottage industry type stuff. I think what's really beautiful now is you still have all of those like fun, nice, quirky products, but you're seeing some like real players in like the local food space, like people that have came in with like money to actually like invest in like startup culture and, like putting out really cool products and stuff like that, or even bigger companies investing in smaller companies that are like local startups, because they're just like part of a niche market. So that's really cool. I think that overall the base is definitely growing. I don't think we're anywhere near market saturation. Like, I don't think that,
No.
It's not like there's too many hot sauce companies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there's still only a handful of local hot sauce companies, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're anywhere near market saturation yet. But I think something that I'm really excited about is like the network is getting so big, whether you're coming in and like starting, a company with like your retirement fund, and this is what you wanted to do your whole life, and you can do marketing and advertising and stuff like right off the bat. Or if you're super young and you're just creating a cool product and you're like selling it direct to vendors and like going into stores and starting out really small, the network is there. And I feel like it's on everybody's radar. So everybody's having a lot of success with it, which is really good. It used to be really hard to get your product out there. Buyers for stores were notoriously hard-headed, and especially larger chains, like Meijer and Kroger and stuff like that. It'd be like, look, man, we have 250 stores. Like, you're making stuff in your kitchen. Like, there's no way you can produce enough to meet our demands. But what they're doing now is they're realizing that people want local products. So like, if you have products that are made around Lake Orion, the couple Krogers in Lake Orion will pick up those products. So they have like a localized buyer. And that's super cool. I have a huge corporation like Kroger who is now like, instead of this like flat supply chain, they're like really drilling down into like, oh, we could sell these in these like 6 stores. We're giving back to the community. We're still supporting local. We're giving people around here will have an instant connection. If you see a salsa and you're like, oh man, this is made, in Lake Orion or whatever. And you're from there, you're like, whoa, that's so crazy. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So you're a Michigan boy, right? So is that why local is so important, or what came about?
So I think for me, local started so I've been in food for a long time, like restaurant management and that type of stuff. And so I feel like probably a little less than a decade ago, in the Midwest at least, farm to table, sourcing good products, sourcing locally. I mean, like, I feel like before it was like you just ordered stuff off a truck and it came. Like you just, you went to the grocery store, like you didn't really understand where your food came from. Yeah, and I think through kind of the uprise in like food documentaries, the uprise in like celebrity chefs and stuff, people kind of got away from chain restaurants and all this stuff and made a huge push towards like farm to table type stuff.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like my inflection point, was like really caring about like not what food you're serving or the environment you're serving in, but like where are you getting the actual food?
Yeah.
And like if we can get Michigan apples, like why the hell wouldn't we? And so I started caring a lot more about where my food was coming from that aspect, and then that kind of like led me into like more local culture, and then seeing people doing like retail focused products and kind of realizing that ingredients and dishes can also be products, and therefore, and that kind of is a trickle down effect. When you're trying to find a local honey for a dish or a local barbecue sauce, but then now you're like, oh, cool, like this is also like a local bag of chips, or this is like a local thing of jelly or whatever. It's like your mind's always kind of looking for it. So it definitely started off like in food. And I think the big turning point was I was managing a restaurant in a market in New York, actually, probably about 4 years ago. And Andrew had came to visit me, and he had just got like a new facility. He was like growing really fast. And so we had all of these local products in the store, and we're going over everything. And I was like, man, like all this stuff is like super close. It's local. Here's like chocolate made in Brooklyn. This is like honey from Washington Heights. These are like, these are eggs from Hudson Valley, like maple syrup and milk and all this stuff. Ice cream was like so local. And he was like, nobody's doing this in Michigan. Like he's like, and I go to these shows and there's people that are making local food, but there's no avenue for them to kind of get a foothold.
Yeah.
So when I came back, we sat down and we talked about it, and we were like, what's the best way to help all these small companies? And then, that's Mitten Crate. So, but I mean, I think first and foremost, it was a passion for supply chain of food in like a restaurant setting. And then that just like led to all things local all the time.
Yeah. That actually makes complete sense, because that's how Grubbable came about too. It essentially started as a way to tell people about where your food is coming from and how sustainable or natural it is. And that you can also find local and sustainable food in restaurants, which I don't think would occur to people, automatically when you think of restaurant food, you don't think about locally sourced all the time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how in a place like Detroit, or in Detroit and Ann Arbor, greater Detroit area, we've had like 141 restaurants that serve locally sourced and sustainable. It's almost amazing to believe that there are a lot of people getting into this movement, and that this is not a fad anymore. It's definitely something that's catching on, people believe in. One thing that we talk about a lot here at Grubbable is the impact of keeping things local on the local community, because a lot of times when we try and think about the local food movement, it's really about supporting the local restaurants, the local community, local employees, keeping dollars local farmers, local artisans. So it's kind of a lot of synergy within the community and kind of just encouraging more people to do things right. Have you been able to see that? Like, do you see a lot of impact on local community, like positively impacting?
Yeah, I think that the fact that the community of people who want to buy local and are buying local is growing more and more every day. And I think that keeping all of the money here from like an easy like economic standpoint is more beneficial to the state. More and more people going to Eastern Market means more and more people in Michigan who are selling stuff, and you're kind of like circulating the money like back into the local economy. And I think that's super positive. I think again, we still have a lot of room for that to definitely grow. But I think that if you're spending money local, like on something that is local, and it could be anything. I mean, to be completely honest, but primarily food. The people you're spending money with are probably I don't have any numbers, but like way more likely to keep spending on local stuff. You know, they're more likely to go to an independently owned salon or an independently owned oil change place or whatever the case may be. It's like people who understand the benefit of supporting local small businesses and our small business owners are constantly trying to invest in other small business owners. And I think that is like, that's been huge for growth in Southeastern Michigan. I mean, you've seen tons and tons of old brands be like reinvigorated, brands like Buddy's Pizza and stuff like that, which, you know, they've been around for years and years and years. They've just probably in the past 5 years have like really grown, really shot up. Like people are like, oh, whoa, like this pizza chain like started in Detroit. That's crazy. Like, of course I'm going to eat there over Pizza Hut or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Wow. Okay. So we now want to talk about, you know, I know we've talked about a lot of serious things. So we want to talk about a bunch of your artisanal products that people can find on Mitten Crate. I think Mary can do a good job of talking because she writes a blog about her Mitten Crate every month, and she kind of particularly gives even suggestions of, you know, how to use those products maybe in a salad or otherwise. So I know this might sound like a little, you know, cheeky, but do you have a favorite of your own products? Are you allowed to say one?
I would say, I guess professionally, no, obviously. You know, it's kind of like all your children are your favorite children. I tend to get really excited about things that are a little bit kind of out of the ordinary. People who have funky flavors for stuff, or just are doing like cool things, or just a little bit different. I like when people take risks. So, you know, one of my favorite people is Tara from Gus and Gray. Yeah, I mean, she's just like a ball of energy and joy, and she's so chipper and amazing all the time. She's a great influence on like other food entrepreneurs. But what I love about her, the product, is like she just does like really funky jam flavors, you know, and like things that you would like never really like think to do, or that are just kind of like, whoa, like how does that even taste? You know, like she's what did she do one time? She did like she made a jam out of smoked tomatillos and garlic that we had. Yeah, and it was like it was so good. I mean, you're making jam. I mean, so you're still adding like sugar. You're making like this thing that's supposed to be sweet out of something that's like super acidic and savory. And then the smoky component is like, you know, completely different. Wow. And and you're just like, whoa, like what's totally going on? And I like when people do stuff like that. There's another entrepreneur, Becerra from Lush Nuts, and her flavors for her, she does like candy coated like peanuts and almonds and trail mixes and all this stuff. But she has all these super cool flavors, you know, like she has like a rose petal and pink peppercorn flavor. She's got like hot curry peanuts, coconut lavender, almonds. I mean, like just like really cool, fun flavors. So I like when people do like really funky stuff. And I also have a soft spot for people that do stuff like very, very simple things very, very, very well. Like there's a company called Al Dente that's been in business for probably like 30 years. They make pasta. It's just like super natural, minimal, easy, like pasta. Cooks really fast, but it's so good. And everything's still like, you know, it's extruded mechanically, but it's all packaged by hand, and they do all this stuff, and it's just really cool. And something that's so simple and so easy. I mean, you're just like dumping pasta in boiling water and like making a dish. You know, but the fact that they've been in business for like 30 years, like, is mind-blowing.
Wow, that's wonderful. Mary, what about you? You keep trying so many different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so cool to like research where all these, like I didn't know McClure's history, and I feel like they've expanded so much beyond their pickles, and I loved like the Bloody Mary chips so much because they were like spicy and kind of almost like a barbecue, but still like the taste of pickles. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been really fun, like experimenting and like even baking, like what's coming, like the Among Friends, gluten-free. I would definitely probably never buy that on my own. And it's just been cool to get like the same brand and seeing how they're expanding in different products. And yeah, it's been fun. Yeah.
I like, you know, those roasted lentils from
Simple Supple Foods. Those are so good.
Yeah. It can go with anything.
There's
with rice.
I will say, so I do a lot of like hiking and backpacking, and there's always, so I can pretty much sustain myself on like almost all Michigan food products. So my buddy Chris makes caffeinated chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
so he's from the East Coast. He's from Maryland. He went to U of M. He's a U of M grad, and he gets his cookies made in, I think it's Ypsilanti. I can't remember for sure. But like there's like a bakery who produces these cookies for him with this like special ingredient, caffeine, and all this stuff. And so I do those. Ev from Nakey Butter makes like almost like those Justin's peanut butter packets. But this is like a little bit more substantial, and he mixes like raw cacao and agave fiber and stuff like in there. So it's like flavorful and like, sustaining. Obviously there's like Germac trail mix and Lush Nuts trail mix is super, super good. What else do I take camping a lot too?
Oh, wow.
Take like the granolas at all? Or?
Oh, yep. Yeah. I used to use Good Life granola a lot because they used to have like a cinnamon apple flavor that was really, really good. They've actually, unfortunately, went out of business about 6 months ago. So I haven't used another granola since the last time I went backpacking, but that was always like my go-to.
Oh, wow. Do all these items
and the lentils, the whole thing like started from like, I also bring like packages and packages of those lentils because I can eat like bags of those. They're so good.
They're so good. They're so good. But have these artisans inspired you into becoming one yourself?
Yes and no. I think I unfortunately kind of get the worst of both worlds, if that's a real thing. And what I mean by that is, where my background is in food, I'm around food entrepreneurs all the time. We always have these like kind of zany ideas, and I always have all of these things kind of going, and I have all of the connections and the know-how, and like I have all of this stuff. But I think that it's almost like the fact that I've seen so many people's businesses, end to end. I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I feel like I can't launch something myself unless it's perfect. And so I see like, kind of all this stuff, and it's almost like there's too many obstacles in the way for me to be like, I'm just going to like pour my heart and soul into this and just like, kind of reckless abandon doesn't really apply to me for starting a food business. It would also probably be really terrible if I started a food business and failed at it. So
if you could though, what would you do?
I would probably do, we've talked about doing like a cocktail salt, like a Bloody Mary rim or like a margarita rim. Yeah, do like a salt, because you can get them, but it's just like, it's usually just salt or whatever, and it's like the packaging is kind of whatever, and there's no Michigan companies doing it. And then you could do cool stuff, like I really like spicy stuff, so you could have like like jalapeno salt, for your margaritas or something like that.
Well, that sounds good. You should do it.
And then I've had an idea for a while that I've talked to a lot of people about doing actually, but it's a pretty big barrier to entry and lots of like sourcing. But I'm a huge beef jerky nerd. I love beef jerky. Like to make beef jerky and all this stuff. So I would like to do a grass-fed beef jerky, but only have it be from beef heart. So heart is like it's the most underutilized muscle in food. It's also one of the leanest muscles in cattle. And there's all these like extra like micronutrients in there, like, iron and folate and all this stuff. But it's a sourcing issue, and it's kind of weird. Like for me, it's really cool. Like I'm totally like all about it, but
it's very regulated, right, for you?
Well, yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing too, is as far as like, production and scaling and packaging and licensing and all that stuff, it's a pretty big nightmare to get into that. But if I had a lot of free time, it would be awesome, because it'd be really cool. And it's also really quirky, be like, oh, here, eat this beef heart. Like,
yeah, I feel like, I don't know, it's so interesting.
It is interesting. I had a friend in Boston. He used to make bear meat jerky.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That is super cool. So he had a bunch of hunter friends. So every time they went hunting, he would get, new fresh loads. So he would then circulate it in the office, and that would be a big hit. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, I think we've had a really good chat, and we're going to have many more of these with you, Cory, over the next few months, obviously. But so we usually end this chat show with some sort of a stupid real conversation about the TV shows that you're binge watching right now. So which one are you binge watching? You're major TV buffs. So
which one am I binge watching right now?
Or just tuning into.
Yeah, well, so Girls just came back on. I'm a huge HBO person.
Me too.
Yeah, so Girls. I just watched the first episode of Big Little Lies.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm super excited for Silicon Valley to come back on the air. That's going to be really awesome.
That's one I need to get into.
Oh, really?
It's so good.
That's so good. Oh my God. Yeah, that show is great. Big Little Lies was okay. Girls was a disappointment. It's been disappointing from the past few seasons. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I just watch it because I'm invested in it, like, thus far. I mean, I think it.
Yeah, me too.
I think it kind of. So what I think happened is I think they probably in season like 3 or 4, it got so popular so quick.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to say they ran out of content, but it was kind of like, I feel like they were almost at the end of their arc, and they were like, oh, well, like, let's just like turn this into like kind of a train wreck dramedy type of thing. And I mean, I think Lena's a super smart woman. And I love how much she pushes the envelope. But it's, and the writing's like really good. I just don't think it's not, if it was just coming out and it was like without having like the character backstories and stuff, like you wouldn't be invested in it. But it's like anything. I mean, that's how X-Files was. It was like they had all these like really cool stuff, and then it's like, well, we kind of did everything, so now I guess we'll just like keep on making weirder and weirder stuff.
X-Files turned into a disaster, though.
It was, and it was too long. It went on for too many seasons. That's what I feel about Girls. When it first started, I was super impressed because of the writing and how crisp it was, how different it was. But yeah, this is the final season. I think they should stop at this season, is what we feel. But
I do still love little things about it, though. Like, I'm still watching it, so
I'm still watching. I like Adam.
Yeah, I like Adam too.
Crazy guy.
He's really evolved.
Yeah, crazy character. So wow, this is nice. We like the fact that you're an HBO person, because Mary and I, we've been watched so many things that we've actually run out of shows. And yesterday we were thinking about new shows, and we were thinking about going back to some old classics, like Poirot and Miss Marple and Agatha Christie classics and stuff, because we've kind of run out of stuff. But it's nice that the new shows have begun on HBO. They'll keep us till Game of Thrones comes. So.
That's probably the show I'm most excited for, like, all year, like, for sure. Like, I can't even wait. It's gonna be insane.
I like every whole thing right now and get ready for it.
I have a friend who wants to rewatch it again, and I've probably seen it 2 times all the way through. Like, for sure 2 times all the way through. So, and
you have to do it every year.
So I'm definitely it's so good. I can't wait to like watch like 5 hours of it and then like go to dinner and come back and watch the premiere. Like, so you're 100% caught up on like every tiny like little detail.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, I actually found a Game of Thrones flavored, Game of Thrones style beer in Costco in December.
Oh yeah, it's a brewery called Omegang out of Cooperstown, New York. They're an amazing brewery. So it was. Are you familiar with the Chimay beer?
Yeah.
So I believe, I'm not 100% positive on this, but I think so. The dude who started Chimay, his son moved to the United States and opened up Omegang Brewery. So that's why all of his beers are like very, very Belgian style. But they produce amazing beers. They're actually probably one of my top 5 beers of all time is the Omegang Three Philosophers. It's like a Belgian quad brewed with like, I think like 2% like cherries or something like that, like masticated cherries. Yeah, so it's like super bright, like kind of tart, but like not like fruity. It's so good. But it's one of my favorite beers.
Wow, it sounds yummy.
Is it hard to find?
No, not really. I would say most smaller places are definitely going to have it. Costco should have at least some of them. Most like Myers will have them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Whole Foods has like their whole lineup too, so you can always go to Whole Foods. I'm not sure about Kroger, but we have, my buddy owns like a beer and wine shop right up the road from me, and then I live really close to Holiday and Royal Oak. So between the two of them, I mean, I can find like pretty much anything. Like there's that's Holiday Market's like one of the best stocked stores I think in Metro Detroit as far as like beer and wine are concerned. Like they just have so much good stuff. Their staff's super knowledgeable.
Oh wow. Oh, Mary, I think we should do a blog on local beer, the brews and the beer and everything.
Yeah, for sure. So
all this sounds great.
Yeah,
okay,
I'll be in for that. So
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we can do like a co-blog or something. I'll be
like a taste test.
All right. Thank you, Cory. This was fun. Hope we can do more of these. And next time, hopefully, we can do it outside and see your face.
Okay.
More clearly. Yeah. But yeah, this was fun. And yeah, we'll see you guys back at a different time. Next week, I think we're doing one with Danielle. So that'll be a different type of show. It's going to be all about mom and kids and eating local and sustainable. But yeah, it'll be fun. All right, guys, this was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.